The suit felt like a second skin, a suffocating one. I remember that feeling so well. I was a goddamn chameleon blending into every boardroom, every cocktail party, but inside a hollow echo. The man they saw wasn't me, not even close. That's the persona you see, the carefully constructed mask. Jung called it that, the public face hiding the shadow self. But the cracks started showing, the mask slipped. One disastrous night I crumbled, the real me raw and exposed. Terrifying and breathtaking all at once. That's why I created this 5-second voice test. It's a glimpse into the abyss, a chance to confront the discord between who you think you are and who you really are. The suit felt like a second skin, a suffocating one. I remember that feeling so well. I was a goddamn chameleon blending into every boardroom, every cocktail party, but inside a hollow echo. The man they saw wasn't me, not even close. That's the persona you see, the carefully constructed mask. Jung called it that, the public face hiding the shadow self, but the cracks started showing, the mask slipped. One disastrous night in Denver, a business dinner gone spectacularly wrong, I crumbled. The real me raw and exposed, terrifying and breathtaking all at once. It wasn't just a breakdown, it was a shattering. The carefully cultivated image, the years of pretending, imploded like a dying star, and the fallout, devastating. I lost a major client, a promotion, even the respect of my colleagues. And honestly, I didn't want to see it either. But the pain, the raw, visceral agony of that night, became the crucible where something new was forged. A terrifying, exhilarating glimpse into the abyss, a fissure in the carefully constructed facade of my life, revealing something far more profound than I ever anticipated. It wasn't just a personal crisis. It was a confrontation with the fragmented self, the shadow self that Jung spoke of, the one we all desperately try to keep buried. This feeling, this dissonance between the mask and the man beneath, it's more common than you think. It's the silent scream of a soul yearning for authenticity. It's the underlying current of countless midlife crises, broken marriages, and lost passions. And it's the reason why this 5-second voice test is so critical. It allows you to confront your own dissonance head-on, to unearth those buried cracks and examine the painful but vital truth underneath. That Denver night, it wasn't just about losing a deal. It was about the shattering of an illusion, the carefully constructed self I'd presented to the world crumbling before my eyes. Like a dam breaking, the years of suppressed insecurity flooded out, raw and unforgiving. Jung called it the shadow self, the parts of ourselves we repress, the aspects we deem unacceptable. And that's the crux, isn't it? We build these elaborate facades, these personas, to protect ourselves from the perceived ugliness within. But what happens when the cracks appear? When the meticulously crafted image begins to fracture? The pain is excruciating, a slow, agonizing death of the self. That's what happened. It took me years, almost 10, to even start to understand. But I finally found the key, and that key is in the voice. You see, your voice is not just a tool for communication, it's a direct line to your unconscious, a window into the soul, if you will. It holds the key to unlocking the shadow. It's like a seismograph, constantly recording the tremors of our emotional landscape, even when we're unaware of the shifts beneath the surface. Consider this, a 72-year-old retired judge in Charleston, seemingly composed and unflappable, outwardly displaying self-assuredness and control. Yet, a 5-second recording of his voice might reveal a tremor of underlying anxiety, a barely perceptible hesitation, a subtle shift in pitch that betrays the carefully maintained facade. That subtle variation reveals a hidden rift, a place where the persona is struggling to hold back the surging shadows within. The tremor, barely heard but deeply felt, think about that. Your voice, your personal symphony, reveals the truth. It whispers it, screams it, betrays it. It holds the blueprint of the hidden self. That's why I created this 5-second voice test. It's not about judgment, it's about revelation. Record yourself speaking for 5 seconds on any topic, completely unrehearsed, utterly spontaneous. Then listen closely, very closely. It's a journey into the abyss. Prepare to be disturbed and enlightened. The true work begins now, so you've recorded your 5 seconds. Now what? The raw audio, it's a mirror, isn't it? Reflecting back not just your words, but the tremors beneath, the subtle shifts in tone, the hesitations, the almost imperceptible cracks in your carefully constructed facade. It's unsettling, I know. It's like staring into a pool of dark water and seeing yourself. But this isn't vanity, this is self-knowledge. That's what Jung would tell you. The shadow isn't some separate monster. It's the unseen, unacknowledged parts of our being, The repressed desires, the hidden fears, the buried emotions we've pushed down so far, they've become a subterranean current, pulling at us, shaping us even as we fight to ignore them. Think of it like this. The persona is the polished surface of a gemstone, beautiful, alluring, but underneath, the raw, uncut stone pulsates with a life force, far more powerful and potent than anything we ever polished to display. I met a man in Charleston once, a retired judge in his late 60s. He looked the picture of gravitas, precise, powerful, even intimidating in his tailored suits. But in his 5-second recording, the judge was gone, replaced by a frightened boy. A tremor in his voice, a slight wavering, revealed a lifetime of carefully buried anxiety about his own competence, his own worth. The way those subtle cues can betray us, it's terrifying but necessary. The shadow self isn't evil, it's the raw, untamed energy that fuels us, that informs our experiences, that drives our actions. The key isn't to repress it, to bury it deeper. The key is to acknowledge its presence, to understand it, to integrate those seemingly disparate aspects into a whole, authentic self. To ignore it is to live a fractured existence, a perpetual state of dissonance between the person you present and the person you truly are. The cost, a life lived as an echo instead of a symphony. That dissonance, the fracturing, it's an agonizing inner conflict, and it's far more pervasive than you think. But by facing it, by truly listening to your 5-second recording, you're beginning to understand what it feels like to listen to yourself, truly and completely. This is where the real healing begins. That raw, unfiltered sound, it's a glimpse into the underworld of your own psyche. It's not pretty, trust me. Mine certainly wasn't, but it's honest. And that honesty, that's the first crack in the wall. You see, we build these facades, these carefully crafted personas, to protect ourselves from the pain, from the fear of rejection, the terror of inadequacy. We become actors playing roles, the successful businessman, the charming lover, the stoic patriarch, hiding the trembling child underneath. Jung called it the persona, the mask we wear to the world. But beneath that mask lurks the shadow, the rejected parts of ourselves, the fears and insecurities we desperately try to suppress. It's not about erasing the shadow, though that's impossible. It's about integrating it, accepting the darkness alongside the light. Think of it like a river, the persona, the smooth surface, and the shadow, the powerful current flowing beneath. Ignoring the current is like building a dam, eventually it will break. That's why the 5-second test is so powerful. It doesn't eliminate the shadow, it reveals it. It forces you to confront the dissonance, the internal conflict between the image you project and the reality of your feelings. I remember a man, Arthur, a retired judge in his late 70s, a man who seemed to embody unwavering authority and self-control. His 5-second recording, it was a whisper, a tremor in his voice, a subtle crack in the carefully constructed facade. His shadow was grief, a lifetime of repressed sadness over the loss of his son, hidden beneath layers of judicial stoicism. The pain he'd carefully buried for decades finally surfaced, not as a roaring eruption, but as a quiet, heartbreaking confession hidden beneath a lifetime of practiced composure. That's the power of the abyss staring back. It's not an easy thing to face, it's raw, vulnerable. But it is in that vulnerability, that confrontation with our shadowed self, that the real transformation begins. You can no longer hide behind the mask. The choice is yours to confront your shadow or become consumed by it. The abyss stares back. It's a reflection, not a judgment. And what you see isn't brokenness. It's a life lived under a veil, a selfhood fractured by a world that never taught you the truth about yourself. You were never given the tools, the language, the permission to be fully, authentically you. That's not your fault. This 5-second voice test, it wasn't about finding flaws. It was about unveiling the dissonance, the chasm between the carefully constructed persona and the raw, beating heart beneath. The silence after the recording, that's the space where the true work begins. The space where you finally hear your own unheard voice, a quiet reclamation of power. Remember that feeling of suffocation, the hollow echo? That's not the entirety of you. It's a part, a significant part, but a part nonetheless. You're not merely the collection of societal expectations, the echoes of past traumas, the wounds of rejection. You're something more, something deeper, something that longs to breathe free from the shadows, to break free from the confines of that suffocating suit. This isn't a destination. It's a beginning, a choice, a path. You can choose to retreat back into the comforting, yet ultimately stifling familiarity of the mask, to become swallowed by the convenient lies, to drown in the safe, predictable shallows of inauthenticity. Or you can choose to navigate the uncharted waters of your own soul, To embrace the chaos, the uncertainty, the raw beauty of your deepest, truest self. To accept the scars, the wounds, as proof of a life lived, a battle fought, a journey toward genuine wholeness. The pain, the agony of that initial shattering, it was the precursor to something greater. A crucible where your authentic self is being born, a testament to your strength, your resilience. Not as a weakness, not as a failure, but as the raw material of your power. That's the truth that will stay with you long after this ends. The truth that makes your heart beat louder in the face of fear. The echo of that broken mask. Now, it sounds like the roar of a man claiming his life back.